Hey, everybody. This is Jeff and the OG of revenue marketing, Dr. Deb.
Hello, everybody.
So, this is our first edition of Revenue Marketing Raw with Jeff and Deb. We're going to be kicking it with you guys.
And why are we calling it Raw, Jeff?
Because, man, we got to get down and dirty. We got to have some real talk, Deb. I'm telling you, marketers out there, they need help.
They need help. It's so amazing to me. We created the term revenue marketing, in like 2011? And we started talking about revenue marketing way back then. Would you ever have thought that we'd be sitting here in 2025 and marketers still are having a problem with their data credibility and the impact that they're making on the business?
Shit, I thought we were going to be done by now. We would have completely changed the world, but no, you're right. Here we are.
I thought we'd be out of business by now because there would be no need. Yet, think about all the customers that we work with. What percent of marketers that we work with are putting credible revenue numbers on the board for their companies?
Unfortunately, it's sad to say, very few.
Very few. Very few.
Although I will say the ones that we are working with are getting it done. It's the ones that we're not working with.
Yeah, the ones we're not working with. That's exactly right.
That's exactly right. But yeah, I mean, why do you think that is, Deb? Because I mean, they have so much tech now, all these great ways of establishing it. There's so much best practices out there.
It is the damnedest thing. They're drowning an opportunity to put revenue on the board, and yet they're just not moving the needle. Now, what we do know about the market is that depending on the kind of product or service you're selling, sometimes revenue marketing is more custom made for that. And we have seen companies spin up where marketing is the major revenue driver, right? And that makes sense. However, across the board, I would say, especially in B2B, which is where we kind of focus, marketers they're just absolutely not getting it done. And again, I'm just gobsmacked that we're in 2025 and we're even having this discussion. Now, what's interesting is that the pressure to put numbers on the board has never been greater. So while revenue marketing is a term that we created and a movement that we started at the Pedowitz Group way back in 2011, revenue marketing is more relevant today than it has ever been before.
It absolutely is. I mean, we've our vision since the day we started was change marketing from a cost center to a revenue center. And it's funny, we still have employees ask us on the company meeting, really? Is this still our vision now? Like 18 years later? We're like, yeah. Because that very reason, marketing still very much is a cost center. Yeah. Let's look at what happened because they've been seen as a cost. Over the last 3 years, so many B2B marketing organizations have had their budgets slashed anywhere from 25 to 50%. They've had to do layoffs, right? All this pressure. Why? When they have every tool known to man, right? MarTech has just exploded. And when we started this company, there might have been literally 10. So you didn't need Scott Brinker's landscape. You could count on one hand the number of tech. And now.
Oh, yeah. And we remember those days, right? We remember. I mean, you and I met when you were at Eloqua and I was a CMO at a company and I bought Eloqua. And my whole goal behind buying Eloqua, it was 2004, Jeff? That's a long time ago. But 2004, I bought Eloqua for the reason that I needed for marketing to have that kind of impact, right? And here we are. And it just seems like they've, to your point, they've bought the tech, they've reorganized, they've reprioritized, and it's just still not happening for them.
No, and I think it's because it's become so easy to buy software.
Yeah.
And it's easy to buy a tool to do a thing.
Yeah.
But people still let technology lead their decisions versus taking the time to figure out what their strategy is, what their new process should be.
I agree.
And they still don't take the time to really fundamentally rewire their team or the way they're doing things. And so there is a lot of great software out there. But if you're just slapping it in and you're not thinking through, then now you're overwhelmed with systems. But I think it's more than just the tech. It's the changing pressures on the org, the pressures on the cost model, and still this inability to get aligned with sales, particularly now as more and more in B2B is moving towards an account-centric buying center world. It's not just about an individual lead moving through the funnel anymore.
Yeah. And you've asked me this twice and I have not really answered it. So I'm going to give you an answer around what do I think is really getting in the way. I think it's a huge failure of marketing leadership. If you think about the number one job of a CMO or whoever that top person is in the marketing role in any company, it is to help the company bring in revenue. That's what the shareholders want. And as a CMO, yes, you wear many, many hats, but if you are not focused on how the time and place and opportunity is right now for marketing to make the biggest impact ever on revenue and on growth in organizations. And if you as a CMO can't articulate that, you need to be fired. And actually, we saw a lot of CMOs fired in the last 2 years in the little downturn that we had. And I think when I think about a lot of them, they were not revenue producing CMOs.
Yeah, and it's this has been the case for a while now. The average tenure, not counting, let's say, Fortune 5,000 companies, because CMOs do tend to stay in those roles for a fairly long time. But when you get down into mid-market and SMB, we're talking 18 to 22 months for most CMOs or senior VPs of marketing. And then when they lose their jobs, as many have, it's taking the equivalent amount of time to find something. So that's a very short window.
It is, because there's no faith in that top role anymore. Again, they've had the budgets, they've bought the tech, they've done all of these things in marketing, and if they're still not making a revenue impact on their organization, they should be fired. They absolutely positively should be fired. But I will say this, the thing that's backing up that lack of credibility by the marketing organization is this old legacy thinking that organizations have about what is the role of marketing in growth and in creating revenue. You know, there are many VPs of sales, many CROs, many COOs, many CEOs who still see marketing as the get my shit done for me department, right? And if you don't have a culture where the power and the possibilities of marketing are not actually ignited and activated, then it's really hard for a leader to come in and say, you know, I can do this thing in revenue, but here are all the changes that have to happen. So, you know, there's a lot of legacy thinking and legacy structures and legacy policies and legacy everything that I think is also getting in the way. I mean, think about it, Jeff. If you think about the companies that we work with, where revenue marketing is exactly what they're doing, how would you characterize them?
Innovative, forward-thinking, aligned.
Like this with sales and marketing, like this with the CFO. Has a seat at the table, is instrumental in strategic initiatives, and is very much a part of that executive leadership team. And marketing is seen as a growth engine in those organizations.
Demonstrable ROI.
Demonstrable
and whatever
ROI.
question the board asks, the CEO or the CFO asks, that CMO can just pull it up. Okay, this is what we've done. This is what we're going to do. You know, if I move this pebble to this thing, this is what it's going to produce. That's what today's CMO leader needs to be. And look, it's a delicate balance for a CMO. It's a hard job, but it can be a great job. You know, so much pressure to drive demand and manage tech over the last 15 years. And many got away from also managing the brand, which is just as important.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people misunderstand revenue marketing, because we're certainly making a focus here on you got to show results. But to also show results, you got to be a good storyteller and you got to be able to position your company.
All of those things.
Yeah.
If you're going to grow revenue, if you're going to get growth for the organization, all the things that marketers traditionally have done are even more important. And brand, to me, really jumps up there as well, because it is the story that you tell, and it is how you interact with your customers. So I completely agree with that.
Seems like an oxymoron though, right? Get more leads in, build more pipeline, close, show attribution, right? Show results. But oh, you got to tell a good story over here, and you got to position, and you got to have those brand anchors. But it really isn't,
Hand in
because
glove. You
it's
got, you can
brand
have
and
one
demand.
without the other.
Yeah,
You
it's not
can't
brand
have
versus demand.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all. So what are we going to do with these people, Jeff? We can't go out and slap all of them up against the head. So what do we tell them?
Well, consider this the wake up call today, right? That's why we're calling it raw.
Yeah.
Right? We're
Yeah.
saying, look, guys, wake up. Your
baby's ugly. Get your shit in gear, right?
Take a step back, turn the engine off for a week, number one, because it's not working anyway.
Yeah.
Right. No one's going to miss that campaign coming in at 9 a.m. Like, oh, geez, where's that newsletter? Where's that webinar invite? Really sit down with your team, look at your data, and now it's easier than ever before with the AI tools that we have. What's working? What's not working? Focus on the things that are working. Slow it down. It's not about how much you're doing, but about doing the right things at the right pace, at the right scale. And if you did nothing but slow it down, met with your team for a week, a quarter, and really start to prioritize things, you're already going to start to get ahead.
Here's what I'd add to that, Mr. Practical, because I'm still on my high horse here about why the hell more marketers aren't creating and driving revenue and growth. I also think that, and we've told marketers this for years, and it goes in one ear and out the other. You need to be your own best PR firm. You need to think about how do you create PR for marketing within your organization? How does your organization, your executives, view the role of marketing in your organization? And if they don't see you as an essential growth driver, you've got a really, really big PR campaign that you need to get going. Because until the company believes that you could and should be doing this, you're not going to do it.
And I'd say for a lot of, especially if you're a new CMO, in the past, you're going to come in, you're going to interview everybody, you're going to do research, get a lay of the land, then you're going to come back after 30 days and you're going to give your 90-day plan and so on. It's not to say you still can't do that, but you've got to balance that out with a 9-minute plan, meaning what can you do today to move the needle? How do you start establishing credibility in your first 2 months on the job? The big things are still the big things, but you got to break them out into smaller pieces. And if you want to be around long enough to do that bigger plan, you got to be able to do things in a series of baby steps. And so it's just really a rewiring of how you're approaching it and where can you get small wins along the way.
Oh, yeah. And Jeff, the other thing that you and I've talked about for years is at some point you have to say no, right? So if your company is saying, hey, you got to show ROI, you got to act like a business unit, then you should be able to say no to shit that does not help you drive revenue and is a big time sucker. For example, prior to COVID, we saw enormous waste of money doing trade shows, right? I know we probably just hit 10 million people in their hearts right now, but
not the beloved trade show.
I mean, oh yeah. They were just a waste of time and money, right? They were a total waste of time and money, and yet marketing had to have these incredibly large budgets to support something that did not drive any revenue activity, or at least none that could be tracked. So they have to learn how to say no. And again, that kind of gets back to the PR agency idea of, okay, if I'm going to be a growth center and if I'm going to be run like a P&L and I have to have an ROI, then guess what? I'm going to spend my time where I can make the most money for the organization, right? So I do get to say what we do and what we don't. That would be a big step for a lot of CMOs to take.
It would. We had that client that we worked with last year. That was a big part of their problem. And their entire culture was saying yes. And they were so overworked and doing so many things that didn't matter versus focusing on the things that did matter. They couldn't move the needle. So, yeah.
And again, and it's this legacy. Here's what marketing does. Here's what they have done. And so you have to rewrite your story. Who is marketing? What is the best and greatest thing that marketing can be doing in an organization? So Jeff and I went to a conference. It was a B2B MX in Phoenix in late February, right? And was there, and of course we've been in the market for a long time. I bought Eloqua in 2004. Jeff was working for Eloqua in 2004. We started the company in 2007. So, we've been front and center on this whole movement. But I was sharing with Jeff that while we're a bit jaded because we've been seeing and saying the same thing for so many years, the younger marketers are seeing it and feeling it as well, right? And they're excited about trying to find ways to solve this problem.
They are, and I think it brings a fresh energy, but also a different view of the world. And look, as we all move through the different stages, we have to keep in mind that our audiences react and do different things. I've seen so many B2B marketers be very dismissive of Gen Z channels. They're not doing anything on Instagram. They're not doing anything on TikTok. Very few of them are even doing things on YouTube. But guess what? Gen Z, it's not so young anymore. They're moving into the workforce. Guess what? They're starting to make decisions or at least do research on behalf of the executives. So ignore this at your peril.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's the channel. Of course, we have more channels. That's just the reality of marketers, and when you and I were coming up, there wasn't even an internet.
Right. Okay, there wasn't, but still, you'd have to say it like that. I mean, oh my gosh.
I know.
So,
hey, I didn't even have these back then,
Yeah,
I can see clearly with or without the glasses.
Oh yeah. I distinctly remember one time I was doing a presentation about what it is to be a revenue marketer and what it is to be a revenue marketing organization, and it was a very young team. And so I'm talking about revenue marketing, and it was a global team. And I get to the end of the presentation, and I'm taking questions, and this one young lady, I think she was from Southeast Asia, she raised her hand and she says, "May I ask a question?" And I said, "Of course." And she said, "Isn't all marketing revenue marketing?" It was music to my ears, right? It was music to my ears. So I think that there is, again, this disconnect, because I definitely see, the Gen Zers do have more of an attitude toward, well, shouldn't we be creating revenue? Shouldn't we be helping drive growth for the organization and not just show up and be the make it pretty department? But the higher you go in the organization, kind of like the older, people get, the less we kind of see that. So what's your prediction for the future, Jeff, for revenue marketers?
It's funny. For revenue marketers, bright, but to quote Rocky 3 and Clubber Lang, I think it's pain for everybody else, right?
I'm looking for my, where did it go? I had a copy of my book, Rise of the Revenue Marketer. We published that in 2013. I think we need to republish it. But anyway, so I'm sorry, I interrupted your prediction.
No, I was going to say, for those that have not adopted revenue marketing, my prediction is pain.
Completely, totally agree with that.
Yeah, because if you're not feeling it now, and you should be, you're definitely going to feel it soon. But for those that are adopting it, honestly, the sky is the limit. To me, marketing has always been an exciting career. That's why we're still doing this. But as we approach the second half of 25, I mean, what an amazing, exciting time. All the tools that we have at our disposal. And the beautiful thing about AI is it can streamline and start to make sense of all these different systems that we didn't have the time to even get. We bought them all. We didn't have time to use them. But now AI can help automate a lot of our processes. It can really help us get to data faster. It can be more objective in helping us analyze. Now, I say all of this is AI is not here to replace us as marketers. It's here to augment us as marketers, provided that you're using it the right way.
Yeah.
And if you're not using it, you're going to get replaced by people that are.
So let me give you an example. And we are going to have a session where we just bang on AI as well, because it's good, bad, and ugly.
Yep.
But take a look at how marketers are using AI. If I'm a CMO sitting in an organization, I'm going to use AI to help me drive growth and revenue. And what are most of them doing? How can I be more efficient? Because my budget's being cut. And how can I take money out of the budget? It's that thinking that is holding marketing back.
Yeah, stinking thinking. Got to get rid of it.
Stinking thinking. That's exactly right.
So, all right, we're at time for this one, but we're going to
It
see
was
you
our
all
first
next week.
show. It was our
It was our
first
first
Revenue
show.
Marketing Raw.
Yeah. So until next week, thanks everybody. I'm Jeff.
I'm Debbie.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye-bye.